Happy Sunday. It's 2 weeks since I did my second live chat. And this coming Sunday, a week from today, I plan to do another live chat. And I will be over at the school. Not John Birmingham School. It's the Hill School. When I was paying taxes on that property, I still didn't own it. What inspired George and Inga Solanovich to build the school was the Hill, the Spirit. That is the most sacred space, or one of the most sacred spaces on the East Coast. And with the death of Inga, the spiritual energy of the Hill is waning. And with the presence of the people who are there now, So John got this great internet service because he was going on about wanting to rent the school out to somebody, and somebody showed up whose name was Tim, who was really an amazing guy. I mean, really capable of, people say, oh, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. Well, Tim is actually a master of everything he does. So Tim moved in there, and at first John didn't want him because he was too good, And then John took off to Points West, and I talked to Tim and said, hey, you need to move in here. And so he did. And then when John got back, because John couldn't, John's been to Points West 4 or 5 times since March of this year. And each time he's going to go to LA and become a movie star, and, it doesn't last more than a day or two or a month or not even a month, a week, 2 at best. And then he comes back here. Anyway, the first time he came back, there was Tim. Well, John needed some money, and Tim said, listen, I'll rent the whole place out for $1,600. And John said, oh, no, 600. And Tim said, well, how about 800? And I said, John, come on, you say, don't go down. He's offering you up. So anyway, John needed some cash because he wanted to go back out again. And Tim gave him $1,600. And then John took off again. And while John was gone, Tim put in hot water through the whole building. Tim put in an amazing wood stove in the basement. And Tim put in the better internet connectivity, speed, etc., than, Cox. So, John was paying almost $200 a month for his little hotspot of internetness off his cell phone. And now he had, the best internet connectivity in all of Roanoke, and he still kicked Tim out. And Tim is such an amazing guy, he didn't turn it off, he left it on. He didn't take out the stove, he left it in. And he didn't take out the hot water because there had been too much trouble. Anyway, he moved down to Inga's house, where her son is. Her son lives in Germany and has a cult. And so this, he needed somebody to, honest, forthright. And this guy, again, put in a great wood stove in this house and went on and did pretty amazing things. So that's the kind of difference in people. Some people just go off and do stuff because that's what their life is about. Where other people just go on and complain and think people attack them and think that the world is, so terrible. Well, this coming Sunday, I'm going to go back and do a live chat, and I'm going to do a live chat. That's a story. I'm going to try and get to the kind of stories that you guys like instead of doing this free-range, float of my subconscious onto the YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to tell the story of Olga Gruber. And I've already made 4 other, intros to this. This is like my 5th, take 5, right? And I'm going to try, maybe, stop at 7. And during this week, I'm going to put them up there. I'm going to go to the library and put them up there, and you can make what you can make out of them, because strung them all together, they're saying something. They're giving a foreshadowing of the story. And the story really is the thing. When I go into my griot mode, I'm much better telling the story than doing these. I put up 80-something of these YouTubes, and because I'm limited by time, I can't go into the long stream story, right? I can when I'm at the school because of the great Wi-Fi that's there. My only limitation, the only hindrance, the only obstacle is Johnny John Boy. And when I can get John into being Jimmy, we all have different shades of our personality. Within the context of mental health, you are your healthiest when you can combine all those personality characteristics as a singular personality, That's me. I got a lot of different, shades of me, but they're all Al, And all of my experiences in life are contextually through that amalgam of all who I am. Because I realize that I am not my bag of water. I realize that I am, living in an illusion. That our material life is an illusion. Our science has proven that our subjective reality is 0.0005% of what reality is. The rest, we have no idea. They euphemistically call it, dark matter. In the old days, they used to call it ether. When people die, they go to the other side. No, it's all part of existence, the universe, the multiverse. All of the above is one thing. The only reality is love. Everything else is an illusion. And, one of the problems about our brother who tried to tell us about evolution, he published that only because he wanted to get the credit for it. He knew it was wrong. I mean, he was a really Christian religious dude. He was a theologian. And, but he had traveled the world on the Beagle to, catch what was going on. And he kind of realized it wasn't what the church said it was. And from now on, when I tell stories, I'm going to try and bring forth all of this without, the perspective of my stream of consciousness. I mean, it's going to be there, of course, because, like I said, I'm an amalgam of all this stuff. But I'm going to meditate and focus within the construct and context of being within the state of unconditional love. So that's this coming Sunday. Today is Sunday. A week from today is where we're going to do it. About 11 a.m., right? So next Sunday, 11 a.m., if John doesn't throw me out again, because John has thrown me out. He's begged me to come there, and I've driven 200 miles. I mean, every time I leave the deep green and go there, it costs me about $120, gas and time, mostly gas. And I usually stay someplace or eat. Here I'm eating like what's growing in the woods. I spend very little, and because you don't go anywhere, you don't use gas, you don't go to a restaurant, you don't do any of that stuff. I only leave here to go to the library or to the IHOP. And at the IHOP I just have a cup of coffee or whatever the cheapest thing. So, John has thrown me out 26 times. And within one of these takes, I was telling you about the first time John threw me up. And that was when we made a video about Donald Trump. And we called Donnie Chump, breaking news. And we put it up on his YouTube. Before the election. And then the election happened, and John Birmingham actually threw me out because he felt that our video caused Donald Trump to win. And he got very upset. And because he thought someone was going to come after him because he put that video up on his channel. And he was like all flustered. But he still kept it up there because he got, thousands of people to look at it. Plus, the first video I did for John was a story I was telling him about. First one I think was Jimi Hendrix. It was summertime. We were just there, and I was just telling him a story, and he took it without asking me, and I didn't realize he was, videotaping me until I asked him whether he was shooting my penis or not, because he has a real interest in that. And at horns, like John, will come and wake me up in the middle of the night because he wants to talk about something, without any feeling that Al's asleep, and he'll bust right in. So the only way I can get him to go away is, I sleep in the nude, and I turn the lights on, and take the covers off and start yanking the chain. And he screams and runs away and doesn't come back. And that's the only way I can get him to stop bothering me. And when he starts talking about Girls Sassoon, boop, boop, he goes on about, boop, boop, all the time that he sees on boop, boop channels. And I don't care. I don't even, I want to talk about something interesting, not, boop, boop, which is just a biological need. People who have to boop, boop, it's not evil that you boop, boop, it's, the thing about sex, there's nothing evil about sex. But when you use sex to oppress, to cheat, to lie, to steal, to make people feel bad, or to coerce them to do things they don't want, that's bad. But the physical representation of it, not so much. Even pornography, as long as it doesn't go into that neck of the woods of hurting people, it's, the Greeks, made, look at David, the statue of David, look at all of, art. Half of it is naked people, The internet would never have come to life if it wasn't for pornography. VHSs wouldn't have been so successful if it wasn't for pornography. And so the people who get all upset about pornography are folks who are doing it all the time, who feel guilty about it. And that's why John, is so like he's, going through, he will not let me connect to his audience other than using me to get more, because you look at, the 800 or 1,000 YouTubes that he's made, and the only one that ever went really viral was the one of him being Ronald McDonald. What's the difference? And, that says everything about modern consciousness. And, but, and then the next most popular one was how to paint your wheels black, and, how to light your hot water heater. But the other ones that have 60, 70, 80,000, like the old Crone, the Jimi Hendrix one, and all the rest of mine on there have more than 1,000, except the ones that it's me and John. And then it's, maybe 800. right? But you look at the ones of him for the last 2 years of him, like, oh, look at my school, look what I've done to it, look what I've done. You can come and be a movie star, blah, my girlfriend, or there's like 3 people who watch it, and I actually think I have a friend of mine in Europe who's been watching mine and his scene, and he actually thinks that John in the future will be the new Jerry Lewis, meaning like how the French think Jerry Lewis is brilliant. The world will, after John is gone, will realize what an existential guru he really is. And he is. I keep saying he is the canary in the social coal mine. He's the cat who's in Plato's cave. And he represents everything so honestly by lying through his teeth. It's like, so that's why I keep doing things with John, and he's my friend. And unlike him, I never throw a friend under the bus. He's thrown me out 26 times. And the first time, when he threw me out, after the day, November 8th, he threw me out around 11 o'clock. Get out, And I looked, and he had drank 3 or 4 energy drinks. And I got John off of smoking tobacco. I got John, stop eating yodels and ring dings. I stopped John from, helped John to get away from alcohol, sugar, tobacco. The thing I haven't been able to deal with is his binge eating and his binge consumption of caffeine. And those things are harder to observe than the other things. He's smoking, I see him smoking. So, hey, you want to keep doing that, or do you want to stop? You want to stop? Here, let me show you how. That was it. Him drinking alcohol is pretty obvious. He falls over on the beer cans that he's, laid all over the house, and, it's pretty, you don't want to hear a crash upstairs, and the clinking of beer cans and beer bottles, Anyway, so John really is this amazing character, and I write plays, and I write novels, and I write essays, and that's what I do a good deal of the time. If I'm not talking to you, and I'm not meditating or, making the house more comfortable, I'm either reading books or writing, and I journal every day. So, and then from my journals, I write my stories or my essays. And so, as I always say, well, that'll make a good story. So, 18 minutes, man, I can prattle on about anything. So, next Sunday it is, right? Okay, let's see. I love you guys. Stay well.